In Module 2, we'll be giving an overview of creating an LMS template, including necessary planning and common items to include. First, decide how you will use the LMS template. You could create one for the whole institution or organization, or for more discrete use, such as an online program or specific training series for faculty, employees, or the public. Some higher ed institutions, for example, might start by developing a template for a specific online degree program as a way to pilot the idea and collect feedback that can then be used for a larger institutional discussion. You will also need to decide who needs to be involved in developing the template. This might include staff who are experienced in online learning or using the LMS, as well as experts in user experience design or universal design for learning. Consider your context as well. In many cases, it might create greater buy-in and template adoption to create a collaborative and representative committee from the start, especially one that includes the learner experience and perspective. The next decision is often influenced by your organizational context and culture as well. Should the template be required or optional? Higher ed institutions, for example, often fare better with a collaborative rather than a top-down approach, while K-12 schools and for-profit or nonprofit organizations might have more authority to set global policies. Also consider the impact of this decision. If this is a discrete program or training, but using the template is optional, you will likely not experience the full benefits. Your program or training, for example, could not be branded across the curriculum, and it would not reduce cognitive load for learners if they encounter a new layout and organization with each course or workshop. Next, decide what specific items you will include, like common links in the navigation bar, pre-built structures for items like the homepage or learning modules, and placeholders with guiding instructions that designers can modify on their own. Finally, consider what data you will need to collect so you can determine the efficacy of the template. Common data points are seeing if LMS help desk questions by instructors, staff, and learners are reduced, and gathering qualitative feedback from those who use the template. There are two basic types of items to include in an LMS template. One, items that will be included in every course or workshop, like those shown here. And two, items that will be modified within each course or workshop by the designer, which we'll talk about on the next slide. Examples of global items to include in every course include quick links in the navigation bar for technology and general learner support help, links to common items that are frequently used at your institution or organization, such as the course or workshop syllabus, or quick links to the learning modules, and also policies or guidelines that apply to the whole institution or organization and are not particular to a specific course or workshop. In general, global items are unrelated to the specific course content or activities and are things that the instructor or designer would not need to or want to modify. The second type of item to include in the LMS template are placeholders that include the what and why for instructors and designers to modify for that particular course or its specific learning cohort. One good example of this is a pre-structured Start Here folder, where the items that learners need to get started on day one are sequenced out for ease of review. Items within the Start Here folder or page, depending on how you choose to organize it, often include an overview of the course or workshop, including how learning is structured for that particular modality, such as hybrid, synchronous, asynchronous, or high flex. It also includes common first day items, such as a course syllabus and learning objectives, as well as any policies that are specific to that course or workshop. This is also a great place to elevate online presence and belonging from the start by including a placeholder for the instructor or facilitator introduction, as well as learner introductions. Note that in K-12 environments, however, student introductions may not be possible due to privacy issues. The Start Here folder, with its placeholders for items that learners will use to get started, is also an example of a pre-built organizational structure for an LMS template. Another example is having a common structure for the homepage, where announcements or the daily calendar are always located in one place. Having a set layout for learning modules is a third example of an organizational structure common in a template. A common format here is to bookend the modular structure with an introduction and summary, with a layout of the relevant learning objectives, as well as module content and assignments sandwiched in between. When using placeholders, you can create text that provides the what and why to designers, so they understand what to create in that space and why it's important for online learner success. For example, a placeholder for a facilitator introduction might include a placeholder for their photo and contact information, as well as replaceable text that explains why it's important for instructors and facilitators to introduce themselves and what they might want to include in that introduction. Instructors and facilitators can then delete the placeholder text and replace with their own intro. The instructions written within placeholder items can also refer to specific institutional or organizational standards for online learning quality. So designers understand the embedded best practices and can design their course to meet minimum levels of quality. Finally, remember to include information on how to edit the placeholder, whether by simply deleting and replacing the text, creating an audio-video file to upload, or even how to use the embedded HTML editor for those able to do so. You could include this information within the placeholder or link out to separate how-to documentation. In sum, there are three main stages to creating a quality LMS template for an institution or organization: the planning and decision-making that precedes the actual template development, developing global items, discrete and modifiable placeholders, and pre-built structures, all with embedded information and guidance for designers, and finally, embedding the template with relevant quality assurance standards. Depending on your institutional organizational context, you may want to consider developing the template as a collaborative effort from the start. But whether it's collaborative or administrative-led implementation, remember to collect relevant data so you can evaluate the success of the template and mark items for improvement.